someone in the comments, well, I've had a few comments saying that people like to just put me on their screens, YouTube, yeah, TV, I don't know what they use, put me on, and they just like to listen to me whilst they're doing their crafts, hobbies, or washing and things like that. So I thought today I would just do a little sew and natter. Let's have a little sew and natter today. And to be honest, as someone who works alone pretty much most days, it's nice to talk, because some days I just don't talk, I just sing to myself. But I have a lot to talk about. I've got some updates about the business. I'd like to maybe share some plans of what I want to do with my business. What else? Some personal projects I want to work on, and yeah. And it's not even 9 o'clock yet, so I have a rule that I don't sew until 9 o'clock because of neighbours. So I've got 20 minutes to just go through some updates and things like that. First off, look at this dress. So in my last video I mentioned that I'm trying to go into a more Art Nouveau 1920s vibe, and I don't usually buy things like brand new. I'm definitely a second-hand gal, especially as my business is predominantly second-hand. But I bought a jumpsuit from a charity shop maybe last year, and it was a next collaboration with Celia Birtwell, and I loved it. It was black, which isn't usually my kind of colour, but it was like browny black, and it had like these 1920s faces on. And ever since that, I have been obsessed with buying things with Celia Birtwell prints. And when I seen Joni do a little collaboration with her, I thought, yes. So honestly, the day the collaboration was announced was the day I bought this dress. And I think Celia Birtwell was a designer who was more well known in the 60s and 70s. So I think this is considered like a 60s, 70s print. But I would argue that this is probably more of a 1920s print. So I don't know, I feel like it's got like a real 1920s vintage vibe. And I love the colours. It's got green and pink, which are my two of my favourite colours. So yeah. And I am tempted to try and buy some more from the collection, but I need to save some money first. Oh, but get this. So on Instagram, Celia Birtwell has recently just followed me. And that is amazing. And I don't know whether to reach out and be like, I love your stuff. But I don't know if that's just a bit lame. I might do it, I don't know. And then the other day, I got a message from one of my lovely followers who has bought loads from me saying, have you received your parcel? And I was like, what parcel? I wasn't expecting anything. And apparently my neighbour apparently my postie had delivered to the wrong address. He got the numbers mixed. So I kept knocking on this neighbour's door, being like, where's my parcel? Even sent a note, and then he came running out and was like, oh, I thought this was some like promotional thing. I'm really sorry, I've opened it. I was like, yeah, it's fine. I didn't even know it was coming, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this was in the parcel. Got there in the end. So Michelle is the lovely person who has sent this parcel and has made these like knitted fingerless gloves in, again, probably one of my favourite colours. I love blue, pale blue, cornflower blue. Oh. And this, I think, is a flower, but I think it looks like the biscuit that you get, and it's got little beads on as well, and I think it's so cute. So 100% I'll be wearing these, and I think these would be good for cycling, because every time I go in the winter, like, it really, like, this part just gets so cold. Not anymore. And then I think it's either her son, brother, or husband, I'm not too sure, I'll have to ask. He's made me a mug with my branding on. And do you know what? I think I actually prefer the colours of this to my actual logo. But I think it's too precious to actually drink tea from. I've actually had a couple of teas from it, but I really don't want to ruin it. So I'm actually going to put this on my windowsill and maybe put a plant in there. Yeah, let's do that now. I haven't got a plant just yet, but I really love this. So business update wise, I did my tea towel drop on Sunday, and 11 of the 12 dresses sold, not dresses, made to order things sold. So that is incredible. And it was actually really quick this time. So the last time I did it, which I showed in my week business vlog, it took like a couple of hours, but it went over, overnight. I had a few orders in. But this one, before I went to bed, I think 10 of the dresses sold, which is incredible and amazing. And especially because I did like a finance recce, I guess. So I was going through my costings and I've had to bump up the price a little bit, and significantly for some other styles. And I was really worried because I don't want to price people out. And I like the idea that maybe someone, if they really wanted a dress, they could like save up and buy something. But I know with the price increase, this probably might not happen. But I was just going through, so I've been doing this for about 1.5 years. And last year, as amazing as it was so stressful. Because when I do a drop, if I sell, say, 11 out of 12 designs or whatever, that amount has to fund me for 2 months, essentially. So it's very hard to try and do drops every month because the dresses, jumpsuits, they all take a lot of time to make, especially with patchwork. And I just kept feeling last year that every month I was kind of like chasing my tail a little bit. So I would drop and then I'd have to like quickly sew all these orders and then be like, oh God, I'm literally running out of money. I need to do a drop like next week. And it was so rushed and stressful and I don't want that. So yeah, I've had to increase prices. But also I think there's a lot of things that people don't see. There's a lot of behind the scenes, so people don't see that I travel miles and miles to collect fabrics. Unfortunately, the prices of tea towels and secondhand decent fabrics has gone up massively. And Vinted, I used to buy loads of my fabrics on Vinted, but they've now introduced this thing where you can only sell brand new duvets, and they started taking off all of my own fabric listings, saying that I hadn't listed it right. So it's a bit weird. So yeah, and I understand how friggin' lucky I am to be able to do this full time. And I think by selling my made to order, I'm also able to explore lots of other little bits of the business, like YouTube, obviously, Patreon and things like that. It kind of, by having those funds, I'm able to experiment a bit more, try out new things, and yeah. And before I forget, because I don't think I've announced it on here yet, but I'm doing a little sewing competition. All the details are on Instagram, but basically it's coming up to 1 year since the launch of my Joy mini tea towel dress pattern, and it's done so well, and I've had so many photos of people's makes and compliments about it. So I thought, let's do a little sewing competition. And I think it's the 23rd of August is when I will be announcing the winner, and I think it's like the week before, but I'll get all the details and post them in the description below as well. And we've got some good prizes. So I think the first prize is a £150 voucher for your local fabric craft shop, which even this is open to everyone, international as well. So yeah, I would love for people to get involved, and I would love to see your makes, please. Yeah. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm moving into a slightly different style, but I'm not going to rush into it. I'm going to take my time with it because I'm not too sure what I even want to be. I'm not too sure who I am anymore. But I bought these two Art Nouveau books. This one came from my local charity shop and it is fab. It's got all of these posters. Oh my god, I can't open a book. It's got all of these fab posters of illustrations from sort of the 1920s to 30s era. Oh, gorgeous. So that is a really good form of inspiration, because even the front cover, look how nice this shape is. If I could just like modernize it a little bit, because like I said, I don't want to be fully 1930s kind of style. I kind of want to just be a more modern version and have it more practical in what I wear, because I hate impractical clothing. I try to steer away from like the plasticky fibres and things like that, because it's just not comfortable. But yeah, this one is gorgeous. So this one I got on Vinted and I paid I think £8 for it, which I thought was quite steep, but when you see the prints inside, they are absolutely stunning. And like I said previously, I love these prints so much, but I kind of wish they were a bit more brighter and a bit more colourful, because I am just a colourful fairy gal. But this also leads me to a little thing that I've booked recently. So in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to a screen printing introduction course in Liverpool, and I did screen printing in textiles in school and I absolutely loved it, and I've been wanting to try and get back into it, but not too sure how. And yeah, so I've booked this course and it was, well, £70 for a full day of just printing, and then after, if you really enjoy it, you can get like a membership and you can come in and just print. And I'm just thinking, as long with my applique, needle turn applique that I've been doing, I could maybe try out some like screen printing of like Art Nouveau styles. Oh, look at that. Look at that yellow. Oh, it's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. In my last video, I said about applique and I did my not so great attempt of this butterfly. I'll go get it. This one here. And I hadn't done really any research. I literally was just cutting out shapes and just ironing and sticking down. And if you want to see that video, you can, because I was having a bit of a mare. But I had so many comments on that video offering advice, tips. People have offered to do Zoom calls with me, which is just so sweet. But yes, I have been doing needle turn applique, which is probably what this should have been. And I've just been practicing my shapes. And there was one quilter who, I can't remember their name, but I'll put it in the description. And they used bias binding. And I think that's genius, because Art Nouveau is very much like curvy foliage. Yeah. And so I tried my hand at trying to stitch down bias binding, and then I did that. And then someone said a technique, well, a good technique would be to sew the same shape and then cut on the back side like a little slip and then turn it inside out and stitch down. So this is what this one is, but I'm very aware I need to probably work on my curves on the sewing machine because it looks a bit boxy. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying hand sewing again. So I'm just gonna keep practicing, keep trying. And I've also bought, well, it's on its way, I've got freezer paper to do paper piecing or piercing. I should probably look that up. So I've bought freezer paper for that, and I've bought starch because I watched a old Mutsu video which someone from the comments recommended, and he definitely does what I was trying to do here. So he does definitely clip, turn over and iron and stitch, but his stuff is like rock solid, so he must use some form of like starch spray, surely. So I've bought that as well. What else have I bought? Iron transfer. I don't know, it was like an Art Nouveau iron transfer. I'll try and get the book here. I'm not too sure what that even is, but I've bought it. Oh, I have been contemplating whether or not to get a new iron. So I've seen a lot of professionals use a proper like industrial steam iron. So I might look into that, or like a little mini quilt iron. I mean, how many irons can you have? But yeah, I'm really enjoying hand sewing. It's just such a nice slow pace compared to the quite loud, fast pace my business has. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. But yeah, so I just want to say I haven't been able to respond to all those comments on the last video, but believe me, I have jotted down each advice, tip. I've bookmarked all of the quilters you guys have suggested and people to follow, and yeah, it's been really helpful and really enjoyable. And it is currently 9:04, so let's get on with what I'm planning to do today. So a wonderful customer called Moira has bought so much from me, and she's ordered a custom dress, a ultimate bespoke dress I think it is. So with that option, basically you tell me what kind of tea towel and vibes you want, and then I go through my stash, or I go source tea towels and fabrics to try and create your one-off perfect garment basically. And this was the tea towel she's chosen, so this gorgeous cream teas tea towel, and oh, it makes me want to have like a little cream scone with jam. Oh, I'd love that right now. And in terms of fabrics, we've got lots of lovely reds, oranges, greens, and then some really cute, beautiful colours. And I'll show a picture of what the final selection looks like. So yeah, I'll be doing that today. And I can't remember what style we're doing, so let's find that out. Okay, so we are making a tammy midi dress with a V neckline, side ties, and ooh, tiers. I've not tried tiers on a tammy, but that should be nice, yeah? And before we start, I'm gonna have to just quickly pin this area, because even though I've got size 16 measurements pretty much everywhere, I don't have the bust of a size 16. So there you go, no gapage, fantastic. Right, well, let's talk about future plans for YouTube, because I've got a bunch of ideas in my head and I think I can probably tell you. So I am planning to go, well I'm going down south this week, back to my hometown, which is Orpington in Kent, and so I'll be going there to do, well, to obviously see family, but I'll be going to charity shops and hopefully to a boot sale. I haven't found any like alright boot sales near me, and like in Kent, I mean, there's like one like 5 minutes from me, then there's another 20 minutes from me. Like, they're all very close and they're massive because they're on like farms. And to be honest, I've only been to one boot sale in Liverpool, and yeah, I feel like it didn't compare to the ones that I've been like brought up with. But yeah, I'd love to try and take you guys with me to see what I can find. I did try and put myself on a spending ban, but it just never works out. And plus, like, if I keep selling dresses, then I have funds to buy more fabrics. Is that not what's meant to happen? And then for other YouTube videos, so I'm doing a collaboration with a small business fairly soon, and basically they've bought products that it's like a sustainably printed clothing brand, but unfortunately some of the stock has come back in the wrong sizes, so they've asked if I could try and help repurpose them because the sizing doesn't fit their size chart. And yeah, so I've got some plans for that, so that should hopefully be coming out fairly soon. What else? I love to do more sort of Q&As, more in the life ofs, because I've now sold 11 dresses. I'm able to show you how I make them, more tutorials. Yeah, I don't know, I'm really enjoying doing YouTube at the minute, and I feel like I'm itching to like get on my phone to check like the stats and stuff, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but yeah, I really enjoy it, so I'm going to keep at it until I'm sick of it. But I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when you start getting a certain amount of views, you start to get paid a little bit, which is why a lot of people do move to YouTube. But and I think it's good, because if there are people who would like to support me but maybe don't have the funds to buy themselves a dress or a jumpsuit, or they might not even like the style that I make, they're able to support me by watching YouTube. So, but maybe I need to create more interesting content for that. I don't know. I did post on my stories yesterday for some questions in case people wanted to find out about the business or stuff about me. And I did get some responses, so let's go through those. There's been quite a few asking where I get my tea towels from. So eBay and Vinted, but definitely eBay is my go-to for tea towels. I used to find loads in charity shops, but I think people are starting to get the idea that these can be repurposed into more than just a tea towel. So I think charity shops are now starting to put them online, which I don't mind. They get the money, which is fine. But I have noticed the price increase in tea towels. I mean, I used to get tea towels for like £3 per tea towel. Yeah, even for like nice vintage unused tea towels, like people didn't really see the value of them, but now it's like a minimum £10 minimum. And I've bought tea towels, that cat tea towel that was in my dress that I did in the last video, that cost me £25. £25 for a tea towel, insane. How do you keep yourself motivated and not get distracted when working at home? I don't know how to answer that, because I do get distracted. I get distracted by cups of tea, by my cats. I don't know, I think probably just for me, the fear of not making enough money each month is a big enough fear that it kind of motivates me to just keep going. And like if I want to book a holiday, that kind of motivates me to keep ploughing on, so then I've got money for the holiday, if that makes sense. But yeah, I do, so I can't have my cats in here, that's too distracting. I don't know, that's a really hard question, because I do get distracted, and I think it's okay to get distracted, and I think it's okay to have breaks. Make sure you have breaks. Next question. If you ever get stuck creatively, do you have a go-to spot or a thing or art for inspiration? These are good questions. Sometimes if I get stuck creatively, I sometimes have to actually just stop creating and just take a step back a lot of the times. Yeah, because usually, well, that week in the life of vlog was a perfect example of that, because I stressed myself out basically, and yeah, so I just needed like a week to just not create, not think about creating, go for walks, yeah, go out for good food, drinks, yeah. So sometimes for me in particular, what I do is I have to step away, itch to get back into creativity, I guess. So that happens a lot. It happens quite a lot. Another question, what was the first thing you did that made your online business official? I guess introducing tea towels into my work was pretty much the main thing. So previously I just did patchwork garments, so it's always been using secondhand textiles to make patchwork items. But when I started using tea towels, because I kind of wanted like I don't know, I just wanted it to be a bit more maximalist, and I like the idea that I could match colours and prints to a specific tea towel. So as soon as I started introducing that, it kind of went a bit crazy. Because of the positive response from that, I just started using more and more tea towels in different ways, different silhouettes, different styles, and it really kind of kicked off my business for me, which is great, and it allows me to try out different ways of experimenting with scraps and things like that. So yeah, I'm very pleased that I went down that route, and very pleased that I still am doing tea towel stuff. What sewing tools do you recommend for sewists? Well, there are a few things that I do use pretty much every day that are everything. A good pair of scissors and a good pair of snips. And my friend mentioned that her lanyard thing is elasticated. That way when you're sewing, you could literally just pull on the elastic. And previously I just had like a bit of trimming that was like cotton, and I've only just recently changed this to elasticated lace. Oh, and it's so much easier. So definitely recommend that. If you're doing patchwork, I bought this. It's a seam roller, which I think is not intended for fabrics. I think it's initially intended for, I don't know, flooring or something. But it's really good. So as I'm doing patchwork, I'm doing like a lined piece, so I don't need to overlock the edges. So with every piece that I sew, I just flatten the seam like out, and it's amazing, and it's so cheap, and it's really, really good. So recommend getting yourself a seam roller. It depends on what you do. So I pattern cut and create patterns all the time, whether that's creating little templates for applique now, and this pattern master is amazing, and it has inbuilt seam allowances. So when I do a shape, like a bodice shape, I literally along the sides just follow the guides. So yeah, I really love this. So I bought this from Generates, who I did she was one of the crafters for the September Sustainability Challenge, and she owns a business selling sewing related accessories, and I bought this like rubber seam guide. So when I go to do hems, I'm able to use, I don't know if you can see, but it's got little embossed measurements here, and you're able to fold your hems and just go with the guide, and it's heat resistant and really good. So I use that pretty much daily as well. Oh, and people keep asking me about my pattern weights, which are these things here. They're not officially pattern weights, they are literally just the ends of dumbbells. Yeah, but they're really like weighted, and I have about 6 of them. So yeah, just the ends of dumbbells. Someone has also asked what the ultimate goal is for life, which is such a deep question, because I don't even know what that is really. I've always said that my ideal life would be to have a little tiny house on a lake or by a lake with a hot tub, and then yeah, and just create what I want randomly. And yeah, just like, I'm not really into like trying to have like a massive house, and I like, for me, measuring success by the amount of money you have has never been that way for me. So I don't want a massive house, I don't want fancy cars, I don't want anything like that. I just want a fairly simple life where I can learn and create, and yeah. And I know my partner Danny has big plans for me to become a YouTube star, but I don't know if that's for me, to be honest. Yeah. I am getting distracted trying to talk and sew, so I'm just going to film myself sewing for a little bit, and then, yeah, I'll do a little bit of talking at the end. How do TV presenters do this? I could not do this. I am finishing up in a couple of hours time, so I think I've probably hit my word limit today. And yeah, so I'll probably just spend the next 2 hours just ironing, cutting out the pattern pieces, and then I will be going for a lovely walk because the weather outside is honestly glorious today. But yeah, so I will be heading down south this week, and I will try my best to remember to capture content. It'd be great to show you some of my local charity shops. These charity shops I've been in, well, I've been going in since pretty much most of my life. I've been brought up in Orpington, and yeah, so hopefully we get some good finds, but we'll see. I hope you enjoyed this slightly different video. If you did, please like, comment, and as always subscribe and all that jazz. I have been watching some other YouTube content sewing people who do like days in the life of, but do it over a week. So they film the Monday, post the Tuesday, film the Tuesday, post the Wednesday, so on, so on. And I quite like that idea, so I think I might do that. Maybe not next week, maybe the week after, but we'll see. But that's enough blabbering from me. So I will see you next time. Bye.